It's 4 o'clock. I call the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Service Committee meeting to order. So may I have a motion for the minutes? Move, second. So carry. Next meeting will be May 27th, 4 o'clock, same place. Do I have any addition or deletion from the agenda? Seeing none, so let's go to item number 1, Recreation and Sports Strategy Progress Update 2022 to 2024. Good. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and through the chair, it's my pleasure to be here to introduce the Recreation and Sport Strategy Progress Update for 2022 through to 2024. Prior to answering any questions that you may have about the report, we have a video to show you that highlights some of the recreation and sport achievements and successes that have contributed to building Richmond residents to be active, connected, and healthy for a lifetime.
The City of Richmond is a place where residents are inspired to embrace an active, connected, and healthy lifestyle. Adopted in 2019, the Recreation and Sports Strategy envisioned Richmond as a leader in delivering exceptional recreation and sport opportunities for everyone, reflecting a commitment to improving health, wellness, and recreation by promoting physical literacy and lifelong participation and fostering sport excellence. We are sharing progress made from 2022 to 2024 in each of the strategy's 7 focus areas, highlighting the many ways Richmond's residents' lives have been enriched through recreation and sport. Using multiple channels to connect with a wide audience, Richmond's inclusive communication approach has sparked interest and bolstered participation numbers for its programs and services. From growing the city's social media following, to launching the Stories of Wellness in Richmond campaign, featuring authentic narratives of residents' personal journeys to well-being, Richmond continues to find new ways to build awareness of its programs and services. The city's commitment to promoting health and wellness shines brightly in its enthusiastic participation in ParticipAction's annual Community Challenge. Each year, Richmond rallies together and answers the call to get more active. This collective effort and growing participation numbers led to the city winning BC's most active community in 2022 and 2024. These achievements illustrate how thoughtful messaging can incentivize residents to embrace a healthier lifestyle. Richmond engages community and reduces barriers to participation through a variety of programs and initiatives. Women on Weights and the annual Go Day Expo instill confidence in female-identifying youth and women to try activities like strength training and learn more about the importance of self-care. Other programs, like Richmond's free walking tours, combine physical activity with cultural enrichment, taking residents on historical journeys to explore public art. On a community level, the Recreation Fee Subsidy Program advances inclusion by ensuring that financial constraints do not hinder recreational pursuits. By addressing economic barriers, recognizing gender-specific needs, and offering innovative ways to connect residents through education and activity, Richmond is building a community where everyone can enjoy the physical, social, and emotional benefits of recreation and sport. In 2024, the city partnered with the Richmond Public Library and the Richmond Olympic Oval to add a physical literacy component to the BC Summer Reading Club, incentivizing children to visit community facilities and participate in various activities. Meanwhile, seniors across Richmond increased their activity levels by embracing new interests like ballet and golf, and rediscovering old hobbies like lawn bowling and badminton. Through these programs, Richmond has helped residents of all ages develop the skills and confidence to move for life. Winning the prestigious British Columbia Recreation and Parks Association Provincial Facility Excellence Award in 2023, the Minoru Centre for Active Living stands as a testament to the strategy's vision of supporting active people through transformative spaces. Serving over 2,600 patrons daily, the facility's welcoming spaces promote active living and community connections, proving that Richmond's facilities are more than just buildings. They are catalysts for community engagement and active living. The city offers a number of programs that invites residents to discover their natural environment. One example, the Terra Nova Nature School, connects Richmond's young citizens to nature through hands-on educational programs that encourage children to participate in the cultivation of a local food system. Other programs like the Geocaching Adventure Labs and the annual Island City by Bike Tour encourage outdoor exploration, forging lasting relationships between residents and the outdoors. These programs nurture a deeper appreciation for nature and promote well-being and environmental stewardship. In 2023, the Richmond Communities Conference brought together Richmond's community associations and societies in an informative workshop series to build community capacity through continuing education and information sharing. Richmond's volunteer program continues to show a steady rise in participation. From 955 volunteers in 2022 to 1,935 in 2024, this initiative enhances the community's capacity to deliver diverse recreational opportunities and build community pride. From professional development to grassroots volunteerism, these collaborative efforts are key to creating accessible and sustainable recreation and sport programs that will serve Richmond residents throughout their lifetime. Richmond's forward-thinking culture values innovation. By leveraging technology, the city is finding new ways to develop skills and connect residents with recreation and sport opportunities. Launched in 2024, Richmond's activity search tool boasts a user-friendly platform, simplifying the search and registration process and making it easier for residents to find and join activities that suit their interests. The Richmond Media Lab is another example of how the city is using technology to connect with youth. A creative and supportive space, the lab is a fun space where youth can develop valuable digital skills and socialize with other teens. The Recreation and Sports Strategies vision to inspire residents to be active, connected, and healthy for a lifetime continues to guide the city's efforts to expand programs and services, increase community interest, and help individuals reach their full potential.
So are there questions or comments about the report? Carol?
So much, through the chair. Great video. We have a lot to be proud of here in Richmond, that's for sure. Yeah, you mentioned in there that there's many more seniors that are increasing their participation. And do you think it's because we went with the seniors 55 and over discount as opposed to 65?
Thank you, and through the chair to Councillor Day. I'm not sure if I could comment on whether or not the actual age has for pricing has impacted that. Certainly, Richmond has a large number of seniors, and I think a lot of the work that we've been doing through our associations, through our centers, the programs and services that we're delivering is really captivating that audience to get out and get active and participate.
Interesting, because I remember when Councillor Steves was still here, we were voting on that, should it be 55, 60, or 65? And I remember him saying, and I stuck in my mind, if I wasn't active at 55, I wouldn't be active at 85. Yes. And it's just, a lot of people retire around between 55 and 60. So anyhow, great work, and it's good to see so many different activities. You certainly have no excuse for, you can't be bored.
Michael?
Thank you. Through the chair, I think 3 questions maybe. I know in here it mentions the sport needs assessment and how that was done. Was it, just an update, was it this calendar year that we're going to get the notification of the location for the covered lacrosse box or covered sport complex?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that is correct. We will be working on further development of that potential facility and bringing forward information for council's consideration later this year.
Okay, great, thanks. My next one, just recently we had the OCP environmental sensitive area component presented to us. And one of the things I pointed out was there were so many parks and other areas, not parks, but parks, that were not included in it. And I know that's one of the strategies of the recreation sport is access to nature. And I don't know if parks Recreation had any say in what areas would be included? Is there communication between that aspect of the OCP and sports and recreation space?
Through the chair, I'd refer to my colleague in Parks to answer that question.
To the chair, Councillor Wolf, thank you for your question. Staff in all departments are also actively involved in the OCP review as well. To your question, in the last presentation where the equity maps are shown, it was really mainly about ESA. I would say one of the graphics that didn't show very clearly is whether parks are included or not, right? In the original map, in the 2041 OCP map, it includes all the parks as green or different shades of greens. In the ESA map, it didn't include that. That's why we're seeing what seemingly would be less. I would confidently say that in the updating version, all parks are included, if not more. So I think it's really just a matter of graphics.
Thanks on that one. And my last one to the chair then, in regards to keeping track of programs that we offer that get filled up and the waiting lists get filled up, like how do we track that? And I bring this up, like the last 8 programming days at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, we try and get kids into skating and swimming lessons. And I just don't know, are we keeping track of like the things that are such high demand, and like how do we calculate how much more capacity we could be offering, which are harder things to do. You need big infrastructure projects, pools, and skating rinks for those, but just for other things as well. Like how do we keep track of the stuff we don't have capacity for?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf. Certainly we do monitor our participation numbers in our programs. We also keep wait lists for programs that do reach capacity. And so we do track that information and use that information to help the planning of programs and services. For some of the high demand programs that you referred to, swimming, skating lessons, these are certainly programs that are on our radar and that we are making efforts to be able to increase opportunities for the community. That involves hiring new instructors, offering new opportunities, new times, and in many ways finding, different times of the day and different ways to offer some of those programs so that additional people can take advantage of those programs and services.
Okay, good. Laura?
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you for this, and it's a great report and great video. I really like how it highlighted the activity being not just sports, but like everything for everyone, whatever your interest is, walking tours and the art, and then environmental conservation for youth and all sorts of things, and the technology stuff. So I like how well-rounded it is, and I'm really proud of everything we're doing. We had a youth presentation from our youth council, and one of the presentations was about increasing gym access for youth, because I'd see that we have a big increase in people that are older that are being active, but are we doing enough to keep young people active who are just like on their phones? Maybe it's becoming more of a problem, I don't know. But I asked my son, I said, well, because he goes to the gym all the time, and I said, well, what would you want that we could do? And he said, well, I think more open gyms, because not everybody wants to go to the gym and work up, want to go play sports. And I'm like, well, when are the open gyms? And he said, well, there's like one at Thompson on Mondays, and there's one I got the impression that there's one a week here and there at different places where you can go and play basketball inside. And he said, I really wish the Oval was, I know we hear this a lot, but I wish the Oval was more accessible. It's like $20, and they've got the best basketball courts. So, and I see in here on PRCS 31. So we do a drop-in sports court free day at the Oval, but it's only on Pro D days. And if you think about it, there's not that many Pro D days. Like there's one in November, and then there's one in February. We usually go skiing on those two, and it's like, so there's not that many. But I was wondering if there was opportunities to expand court access at the Oval to monthly or biweekly or weekly even, and if that's on the radar at all.
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, in terms of programs and services delivered by the Oval, I'd need to work with our colleagues at the Oval. I'm certainly happy to pass on the comments that you've just shared, and see if there are opportunities to expand open gym as you've indicated at the Oval. I'd add that, gymnasiums, certainly highly valued and well-utilized facilities at all of our community centers as well. We strive to find that kind of balance of providing a variety of different opportunities for all ages and interests. That covers everything from Tai Chi and fitness programs through to basketball or Oppo Gym or youth hangouts and some of those types of programs that you've mentioned. And certainly we look to find ways to encourage youth to get out to those programs. One that does come to mind is our $29 Summer Active Pass, which, provides open access to swimming, skating, drop-in programs, fitness centers at our community centers, so.
Yeah, absolutely. That is an excellent pass, and thank you for that. Just one more question. On PRCS 37, I was reading about the bike to school education for students. And so I'm just kind of wondering how this came about. It says that students participated, it was coordinated through some community centers, and then the students walked, cycled, and did transit to school and gathered feedback regarding travel habits. So this was organized through community centers. So I'm just wondering how broad spread was the participation, and is there a way to expand it to schools, to coordinate with the school board to get everyone to do it? Just noticing that kids getting rides to school is just like, it's not getting any better. It's getting worse, I think. So.
Thank you. And through the chair to Councillor Galanders, yes, this was a program that occurred in 2024. City staff reached out and worked with 3 different community centers. It was actually Thompson, West Richmond, and Cambie Community Center to engage youth and students in those areas to find out, what would get them utilizing active transportation more. So walking to school, riding their bikes, et cetera. And there were a number of things that were put into play from that program. I certainly think there's opportunities to leverage the success of that and be able to expand other opportunities in terms of active transportation and travel to schools.
Great, thank you. Thanks, good work.
Andy?
Hey, thank you, through the chair. Well, thanks for the report. It's kind of overwhelming in terms of, what's in it. I guess the bad news is I'm not quite sure how you're going to exceed it or beat it, but with the 7 focus areas and the 57 actions, and I notice it's 2019 to 2024, and the report does speak to this a little bit, but maybe you could just expand on the fact that, with the pandemic and the interruption, that this is probably going to continue on kind of much as it is, because it's pretty comprehensive, as we just saw. So could you just comment on that 19 to 24, and then I know the report talks about going into 25, 26.
Yes, certainly. Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, through the last strategy progress update, which was in for the period of 2019 to 2021, it was actually identified through that the strategy and its actions and priority areas would benefit from sustained progress for an additional 2 years. It was largely as a result of the pandemic and the impacts that pandemic had on the provision of recreation and sport programs. And it was really realized that those focus areas and actions are still very much relevant, and that was reaffirmed through this progress update that the strategy would benefit through that sustained approach. So our intent is to continue on through 2026 and provide an update to council at the end of that period.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in it. I hesitate to comment on too much, but there were some things that were impressive, like the Center for Active Living visitations, and also the Cara Hockey, London Farm, and the volunteers on page 57. The Cara Hockey, I just want to comment, it was such a good event. The team from Australia had a blast. Their hockey wasn't that good, but they actually blended teams and had some really good games, and I think they were the most entertaining. And just the last question I have, which I thought this was really interesting too, because all of our kids were lifeguards in Richmond, and I hadn't heard of the Barnsley Lifeguard Championship. Maybe my children didn't do too well in it or something. But how long have we had that going on, and what's the origin of that? Do you know?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, I'd call on my colleague, Ms. Close, to be able to provide a bit more information on that competition.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, the Barnsley Lifeguard Championship actually originated in 1936. And it was named after George Barnsley, who was a lifeguard himself and donated a shield called the Barnsley Shield to commemorate the Golden Jubilee of the City of Vancouver. To my knowledge, this is the first time that Richmond has hosted the competition, and it is intended to be an annual competition. This year it's being hosted by Burnaby.
Well, and just for the public's information, the Richmond team won,
We did.
right? So, yeah. Well, thanks. That was interesting. I hadn't heard of that one. Thank you.
Welcome.
Bill?
Thanks very much. A good report. I'll support and echo all the comments that are made. I always find it interesting, right? We always gravitate to physical activity. And obviously, that's primarily what it's about. But we forgot the spiritual activity of our people and the appreciation of the mental health. Many of our parks are passive. Many people just walk through the parks just because there's spirituality there. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but we do have a bench program. And the bench program in the city is a spiritual aspect for most people. That's why they have bench. It's not in here. I think it would add to make you 103% on your report instead of 100. But I'm very serious about that. You would be surprised how many people go down to Gary Point or the foot of 3 Road and just park and look at the water, walk at the water, sit on the bench that's there, meditate, those kinds of things. So I know it's a passive thing in a way, but it's more than a passive thing. They're invigorated. It allows that. So I think I mentioned it before, but I'd like to see spirituality in there. Each of these on page 20 give to the whole spirit of whatever. It could be spirituality in the way I mentioned, but it can be spirituality in the aspect of sport and fitness. It's just like the spirituality when you had a good workout and you've run the 50 and 100 meters in 3:53 and finished the thing. There's a spirituality there, let me tell you, whole euphoria. And so anyhow, there's just, I wanted to bring that up because one of yours is enhancing mental and physical well-being, which I agree with, everything that's there. The other, just quickly on the report to embellish it, on page 32, you mentioned our partners and stuff. Do we not do anything with Jumpstart in terms of a partner?
Thank you, and through the chair to Councillor McNulty. I'd actually call on my colleague, Ms. Hadfield, to provide more information with regards to the Jumpstart
I
program.
just thought it should be included.
Through the chair to Councilor McNulty, Jumpstart is not a partner that the city sits with or meets with on a regular basis. We do, through the Kids Sport program, refer folks to that program if they aren't eligible for Kids Sport funds, but we aren't involved in the same way that we're involved with the Sports Council Active Recreation and Sports Fund or Kids Sport.
Okay. Well, I would suggest we do. I would think that anything that's out there that can help us in any way small, I don't know if they can help us, but I think we should include it and try to utilize the benefits. Every time I go to Canadian Tire, they ask me if I want to contribute. So I assume that there is an opportunity there in some way. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good. Other than that.
Okay, so
Move the
let's start with,
recommendation.
yeah, move, second it. Also, those in favor, opposed, motion carries. Moving forward to number 2, Stevenson Community Center and Library Interior Artwork Concept Proposal. Yeah,
Thank you,
Brianna?
Mr. Chair. Nothing to add and here to answer questions.
Michael?
Thank you. Through the chair to staff, I'd like to bring our attention to page 102 around one of the design elements and symbolism of the art that's been provided here for us. So first I want to highlight, like in the artist's little package here, sorry, what's her name? Anyhow, so it highlights a number of the features and kind of how that art piece kind of matches our region. But on page 102, it highlights the red crown crane, and which is quite common throughout the art piece. What I'm holding up is a AI-generated image of a red-crowned crane standing beside a sandhill crane. So the sandhill crane is from our region. They're nesting or with little young right now off of 6th Road. They're very similar. I was just wondering if the artist could add a little more gray to the white feathers to make the bird represent a local species.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I will definitely let the artist know. This is very much a draft design. There will be further refinements once, if council approves this concept and once the artist is contracted. So there will be further refinements. I will be passing that information on.
Okay, I'll leave this with you. I'll just write the names of the species under there first.
Very good. Carol?
Well, Councillor Wolf took the words out of my mouth. I was thinking to myself, I've never seen these birds. And everything about it is so good. It has the cherry blossoms, it has the fishing boats, it has Mount Baker, but that part is wrong. Yeah. So I think that it's good that this is just a first draft, and I understand aesthetically and graphically this is pretty, but it should represent what we do have, I believe, in, it's Sturgeon Banks. So it's going to be a mosaic, which is going to go around on, I'm assuming, a wall that's being built above the entrance area there, which is great. So the budget is quite high, and artist is going to get $15,000, but it's going to cost, I think, is it 100 or 150,000 for the tile fabricator and the installation by a contracted professional. So did you get more than one quote?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, the budget is $15,000 for the artist, which is a design-only scope, so they're only designing the image. We did get 3 quotes. The budget is altogether is $100,000. Out of that, $15,000 is for the artist. The rest goes towards the fabricator of the tiles, as well as the installer who's going to be installing the mosaic.
Okay, so it's $85,000 for the tile fabrication and the installation?
That's correct.
Okay, and you got other quotes that were higher than that, or?
That was the budget that we had to work with, and we got 3 quotes. 2 of them were within that budget. One of the supplier was out of the States, and the other supplier was local in Metro Vancouver, so we went with the local.
That was my next question. I love that the artist is a 4th generation Japanese Canadian. We get good art when we hire local artists, because some of the stuff that is plopped down and made by someone from another country doesn't represent Richmond. This 100%, well, except for the color of the cranes, represents Richmond. So I'm definitely very much in favor of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next draft. Thank you.
Andy?
Thank you, and through the chair. Well, thanks for the report, and like looking at it, I confess I read ahead. I didn't read ahead. I looked ahead, looked at the renderings before I read the report. And so, I might not know art, but I know what I like. And I love this, despite, some details that have yet to be worked out. The one thing I did think, like in the report, when you look on page 104, it looks quite bright and lit. So I'm just wondering where the natural light would be, or where the light would be, to make sure that that mosaic is lit up and highlighted, as nicely as it is in that rendering. So I'm not sure where the natural light would come from, or if there's going to be artificial light that is appropriate for the art piece and just really highlights it. And I know that that's not done yet, so that's something I think that would be looked at.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, perhaps I can get my colleague, Mr. Jonas, to answer specifics about the lighting, but there will be light above it, as you can see in the drawing. But I can't answer about the natural light.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, yes, there's going to be skylight, so there is natural light, but there's going to be specific lights towards the arts beats, and we will work with the artist to actually. Yeah. The accent of light depends on the artist, not on us, but there is natural light in the natatorium. There are skylights.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, so that's really nice.
Okay, good. Okay, may I have a mover for the motion? Move second. Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion. Oh, Oh, okay, I didn't see your hands. Yeah, Bill?
I just want to say, thank you for the right panel to select the artists. I think you did a good job, and I think before we say, well, you should just look at the in-depth abilities of those 5 individuals that have chosen the art. That's all I'm going to say. Good job.
Okay, so may I call the question on the motion? Those in favor, opposed, motion carry. Number 3, Railway Greenway Lighting, 2025 update. Okay. Okay, so
Through the
floor is
chair,
yours.
nothing further to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Laura?
Oh, I thought Andy beat me to it. Okay. Thank you, through the chair. Thank you very much. Thanks for getting back with this quickly. I do not recall exactly what the layout of the hybrid plan originally proposed was. Can you just comment on the differences between this plan and the original one?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, so with our previous report identifying the recommended hybrid option, we didn't get to a level of design,
Okay.
sort of looking at specifically what that would entail, but based on the results of the public engagement process, we anticipated those would include a combination of the previously identified lighting types, which are also identified in this report, on both an intermittent and continuous basis at strategic locations along the Greenway.
Okay, and yeah, so looking at the plan, reading the plan, I can see the rationale for a lot of what you've laid out on PRCS 116. I mean, especially the all standard lighting north of Granville, this is a given. And I guess the intersections kind of lit up with the solar lights. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, walk it again and keep my mat with me and just look. But I was wondering, so in those dark areas, I'm guessing the, right in the middle there, area 3, that's one of the examples of where there's the long wooded trail close to the sidewalk and then the dark trail that would have a hedgerow to the west of it, and it would be dark along there. So how are standard lights better for that area than the solar lights?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, basically we looked at or identified locations for the standard lightings where there was a longer continuous stretch of lighting required. Whereas with the solar lighting, we feel there's a really great opportunity for innovation, but where we do see an extended stretch with some distance from existing lighting sources and the presence of vegetation, we feel that the tried and tested standard pedestrian lights are most appropriate.
But then you did recommend the standard lights again in a fairly short area at area 6?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, that's correct, but in that case, they were recommended because of the proximity of 2 adjacent lighting areas. So in that case, those areas could actually share a single service connection, thus offering cost savings and efficiency.
Great. I'm sorry, just a couple more questions. Hopefully I'm not hogging all the questions. I'm sure there's lots of questions. So let's just go back to area 3 as the example. So the standard pedestrian lights that would be along there, let's say they're probably as high as the small ones the ones that we put on Steveston Highway Path. And so in that one section, how many poles do you think there would be? Like how far apart would they be?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, we're anticipating that the lights, and just to confirm they would be the same lights that you see along the Steveston Highway MUP. They would be spaced at approximately 30 meters on center.
Okay.
Have to confirm the length of
Just
that
kind of trying to get an idea of how many. Yeah. It doesn't have to be exact.
Don't recall if we had identified that exact distance, but.
But there's
could
some
confirm that.
distance. It's not like every 5 feet. It's like.
Every 30 meters is
Yeah.
what we're anticipating
Okay.
for the spacing of the poles themselves.
And then, so like I really enjoy walking through that wooded area at night. So would the lights, the standard lights, do you think that they would be on the west side of the sidewalk, like with the back of the light against the hedgerow pointing towards the road down onto the path? Or do you think they would be going the other way? Because I'd just be worried about overflow to the houses if it was going the other way.
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, we haven't yet made that determination
Decision?
on what side of the pathway the lights would be at, but certainly, given that sensitivity with light spillage, and the need for sensitivity with respect to adjacent residents and wildlife,
Yeah.
we would look at the area that, provides the least impact.
Do you think before we, like, depending on what we vote on, but do you think before you end up building it, like, we could get like a little like video run through of like what it's gonna look like? Is that practical or would that be too much?
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, should we receive endorsement from council to move forward with the recommended option and thus move into detailed design, we could explore that possibility with a qualified consultant team to see if that's something that could be provided.
It's not necessarily necessary, but it just would make me feel a little better. I just my personal opinion is I don't really think that we need light, but I definitely hear the 78% of the public that says they want light. And so I think that you've come up with an option that's livable, and that's gonna probably make a lot of people pretty happy. So I have mixed feelings on it, but I can see for the greater good, I definitely wouldn't want more lights than this, but I think you've done a good job doing what we've asked you to do. Thank you.
Very good. Andy?
Thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, a lot of comments and questions have been answered, but I do want to just say, first of all, thanks for the report. I mean, it's gone back and forth a couple times. There have been a lot of different opinions voiced about what people think would be best. And I think what you've come up with here is a really good option. We've all ridden and walked that trail, but I specifically went out a few months ago when it was dark and rainy and took photos and made some notes. And I still have those, and I did review those. And where you have outlined putting lights is, exactly where I found it, dark and a little bit, isolated in certain places. So I think that's good. The combination of standard lights and solar powered, I think that's good. The height, as you've already discussed, if people think about the ones on Stevenson Highway, those are, I think, less than half the height of a regular lamppost. So they're a lot lower. So in terms of, I think, not interfering too much with wildlife or not interfering with people's privacy in their homes and that kind of thing, and not turning it into the Vegas Strip, which I don't think anybody's in favor of. I think you've reached a really solid working compromise there. So I think the questions have been answered already. And so I just want to emphasize that I think you've come up with a good solution, and I think these are in the exact right places. So thank you.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, well, I think this is what we asked for, so it's on the table. Just a quick question on our page 110. You mentioned that 529 response were in favor. How many people commented, or was that the number of commented?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, just to clarify, it's 78.5% of the 529 respondents that were in favor. 529
So 529 made
was
comment.
the total number
Okay,
of
that's all right.
people that
Okay.
responded to.
No,
the
that's good. I think that we've got 500 people, and I assume they were from the adjacent areas and those along railway.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, that's correct. It was a targeted engagement.
Was there any one area that was more vehemently opposed than others along the way? We know a number of those people because when we put community gardens along the way, we happen to make friends with them. So I'm just kind of curious whether you had any pushback.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, all the responses to the survey and engagement process were anonymous. So, we didn't have that information associated with specific responses. And just to clarify my previous comment, it was a citywide engagement, but we did reach out to adjacent residents specifically with mail outs to ensure they were engaged.
And just one final question, what's our timeline? When are we going to get this on rock and rolling?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, with endorsement, we would move forward with the detailed design and capital planning stage, which could then submit a 2026 capital submission, so we could see installation begin as early as next year.
So we have to have it ready by October.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Michael?
Thanks. Through the chair to staff, I think it was about 3 questions here. What's the cost share of the solar lights of that million? Like, how much of the million is the solar as opposed to the standard?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I don't have that information in front of me, but solar lighting represented a smaller proportion, I think about in the range of half to 1/3 of that total cost compared to the standard pedestrian lights, given that they're representing smaller areas of the greenway.
How would the lighting shut-off be controlled? Would the standard ones be on a timer and the solar ones be on whenever the battery runs out?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that is something that we'd be looking at and determining through the detailed design stage. It's likely that we would apply the same approach to both the standard pedestrian lights and the solar pedestrian lights to ensure consistency and sufficient sensitivity to wildlife and adjacent residents.
Thanks. Next question is, for the existing pedestrian lighting standard pedestrian lighting that we have out, do we have like custom covers to like direct the light only to where we want them to go? Or is that something we buy, or do we manufacture those? Or do we just open broadcast the light?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, probably defer to my colleagues in engineering public works for what standards the city may have adopted, but I know with those light fixtures, there are different options for shielding.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, normally the lighting comes as a standard lampstand. However, deflectors can be added post-construction if complaints are received from the public in regards to additional light that's entering private property.
Follow-up, do we make those ourselves, or do we like to get, if we don't want direction and we want to open the window just so it hits the lane or the walkway, like do we make them in-house?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, these are usually manufactured through the supplier, so we would purchase them on an as-needed basis.
Okay, thanks. My last point then, I don't think it's a question, or maybe it is. How come we weren't given an option 4 with just solar? I know it mentions in the report that it's kind of new technology and new lighting for the city, but I'm not in support of the option 1. What I would be in support of is starting with the solar lighting in the most prioritized needy spots, and then if those are successful, expand to the next round of needed spots. Yeah, have you thought of putting an option 4 where we would just use solar?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we did consider that option, and through our collaborative process with our various partners across the city, we determined that given the nature of solar lighting and that this would be, in fact, be a new standard for the city, we felt it would best be implemented in conjunction with our standard pedestrian lighting. You know, with any new standard, there is always a learning curve, and so in order to ensure that we're mitigating risks and exercising caution in rolling out a new standard, we felt that solar lighting in and of itself or as a standalone option wouldn't be appropriate here.
Thank you.
Carol?
Thank you so much. How much, I mean, I know I buy solar lights all the time, but they don't last forever. Like the ones that are wired actually last, well, forever. Have you done a comparison and the longevity of the solar lights?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we have looked at the various components of solar lights in comparison to the standard pedestrian light options. With the solar lights, there are additional components. So there's the battery component. We have noted the associated life expectancy of these on PRCS 112. So I can elaborate on those if you'd like.
Just says here option most cost effective.
In general, through the chair to Councillor Day, the battery has the shortest lifespan of all the components, and we'd anticipate replacement perhaps once every 10 years. The solar panels themselves may need replacement once every 20 years, and then the fixtures and poles have similar life expectancy to city standard pedestrian poles.
Okay, so you can fix it as needed. You don't have to put a whole new light down. You can just fix the battery or fix the solar panel or fix the bulb so that it is repairable. They're not throwaway.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, that's correct.
Good, that's basically what I was getting to. How does this price tag, it's over $1 million compared to what we spent on the multi-use pathway on Steeson Highway?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I was not involved in that project. I probably deferred to engineering and public works staff for comment on those figures.
Right here. Oh, there we go. Through you to Councillor Day. I'm not aware of what that costs, but we can certainly find that out and bring it back to this committee or send it in the form of a memo or email, whichever you like.
I think that'd be great if it was a memo. Thank you so much. And I think it's a great idea to have the lighting. I agree that you don't want it lit up like Las Vegas Strip. That would just ruin the ambiance. But the bollard lights appear to be quite nice in terms of they shine down, which is where you're walking. You don't need to have it all lit up above. And I could see people living in the area being pretty good with those. And but obviously when you get to an intersection, you're going to need a little more light. So I think the hybrid model is a brilliant model. Just a little more details on cost and I'll be good with it. Thank you.
Okay. So move seconded, call the question. Those in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. One opposed with Councillor Wu opposed. So managers report. Anything to report? Hi, Jason.
Thank you, Chair. Just a very quick update on the number 3 Roebuck Park progress. I'm pleased to provide committee a very happy note, I suppose. The enhancement to the park have been completed and open to the public on April 14th, just ahead of the Easter long weekend. The renewed park features a new multi-use path and enclosed dog off-leash area with fencing and gates, and we refreshed site entrance. Minor remaining works, including signage installation and site touch-ups, will continue through this spring and summer. Thank you.
Good job.
And we'd like to also thank Council for the direction. I think it makes the public really happy. Thank you.
Okay. Carol?
I just want to say I am so glad that everybody could work together because I think the people who used the park came up with some brilliant ideas, and having the bikes separate, especially since it wasn't even realized that people on a bike were riding through an off-leash dog area. And so for safety, and I've heard about some of the accidents that happened prior to this, this was absolutely the right direction to go into, and maybe a good model moving forward. So if we are in putting a bike path in an area where it is an off-leash dog area, then this is our template. Just have it fenced so the cyclists are safe and the dogs are safe. So good job. Thank you.
Okay, so any further questions? Seeing none? Michael?
Yeah, thanks. Through the chair, just a general question. I don't know if there's anyone on staff to comment on it, but in our parks, in our recreational areas, do we at all keep track of like nesting activity, be it nesting birds, nesting ducks, other urban wildlife? I know there's an urban wildlife display from the nature park here right now. And also, this is fresh in my mind because we showed up at our school yesterday and there was mother mallard with 12 ducklings trapped in one of our courtyards that she had raised them, so we got them to the Shell Road, or the Horseshoe Way Slough, within hours, and they all swam off together. So I just don't know if we're keeping track of this, if we're noticing an abundance of activity.
To the chair, to Councillor Wolf, sorry to hear that incident. Unfortunately, we don't. Typically, we would rely on our parks operations crew on site when they're doing regular maintenance on our open area, park area, trail areas to report. We'll also be in coordination with our climate and our environmental staff in terms of any habitat nesting or similar activities. So we can pass the message to our crew to pay stronger attention to these. Thank you.
Carol?
I'm just looking for some advice. My neighbors across the street had these two rabbits running around. They kept trying to chase them away, but they kept coming back. And they finally found out why. There was 8 babies underneath the bay window, right in the front of their house, like right by the door. So they got a box, wrapped them all up, took them over to the SPCA, who said, we don't take them. So I suggested that they call Rabbitats. Are there any other options?
To the chair, to Councillor Day, I think our parks program staff is still working on a refresh RFP for that. I'm not sure if Elizabeth has further comments on that.
No, I don't. Councillor Day, we can check in to see whether or not there's other options besides Rabbitats or find out more about why the SPCA doesn't take them, but we're not aware of the details of that. But we can check into it and get back to you.
And we don't have like a spay and neuter program for rabbits, I don't imagine. Because we know in another 3 months, there'll be another batch of them, you know. So tell me if I'm wrong. I happen to be dealing with mice at my cabin, so I went and got some coyote pee and put it on the little spongy things and put it around the cabin to get rid of the mice. And so he was desperate to do something. I said, well, you want to try this? So do you know if that works to make the rabbits not come back? Coyote pee.
Through the chair, to Councillor
I don't know how they got it. So.
There are all kinds of solutions from the ground. Staff is not will not be in position to comment on those, but similar to what we were saying earlier, we'll contact with other people and see if there are other ways to look at these situations.
I think you should definitely do the research. Coyote pee is what I came up with, but what can I say? It's odd. But when someone goes to the SPCA, they should be able to get those kinds of answers. And yeah, I mean, that's the whole point, is they, you know, I know they're not animals, they're rodents, and as far as the province is concerned, but I mean, I helped as best as I could, but we really do need to have public information available for how to deal with rabbits, because I live at the Ironwood area, and they're all over the place. They're running wild. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more questions. Yes, move second, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.